Incoming! Take cover! Command, this is Baker Squad! He needs one! Over! Hold the lines! Wide! Hold the line! Stay sharp. They're close. I see a movement, right flank. On my mark, advance. Copy, advancing.
Late March 1945. Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force, Reims, France. A report arrives from Third Army. The numbers are so extraordinary that staff officers ask for verification before presenting it to Eisenhower. Verification arrives within 2 hours. General George Patton's Third Army has captured more than 100,000 German soldiers in a single campaign. More prisoners than some entire Allied armies have taken in months of fighting. The report sits on Eisenhower's desk with documentation. Prisoner processing records from 12th Corps. Intelligence assessments, unit reports. Eisenhower reads it twice. His reaction, according to those present, mixes professional satisfaction with disbelief.
Ready to advance? Affirmative. On your lead. Forward! March! Stay sharp. They're close. Copy that. Move out.
He has worked with Patton since North Africa. He understands what Patton can achieve. But this operates at a scale that redefines aggressive warfare in March 1945. The numbers represent more than battlefield success. They validate a philosophy Eisenhower has been moving toward, but not yet fully embraced. Speed over preparation. Momentum over methodical advance. While one commander was counting ammunition, another captured an army. By March 1945, the contrast between Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery and General George Patton has evolved into opposing philosophies of warfare. Montgomery commands 21st Army Group. His approach, the set-piece battle. Concentrate overwhelming force. Establish complete logistical superiority before moving.
Move out! Stay together! Yes, sir! Watch your foes! Keep moving!
Plan every phase in meticulous detail. His operations require preparation measured in weeks. Staff produces plans running to hundreds of pages. Supply officers calculate ammunition down to individual shells. Operation Plunder, Montgomery's planned Rhine crossing near Wesel, exemplifies this method. 4,000 Allied guns for preparatory bombardment. 2 airborne divisions. Bridging equipment stockpiled for weeks. The operation rivals Normandy in scale. When Montgomery has time and resources, results follow. But his approach requires time that cannot be accelerated. Patton's philosophy inverts this completely. Speed and momentum trump overwhelming force.
Hold the line, no matter the cost. Yes, sir. We move now. Follow me. Understood, sir.
Hold the line, soldier.
I can't take!
Endure it, that's an order.
Focus on my voice.
Good.
A good plan now defeats a perfect plan later. Third Army operations feature rapid movement, exposed flanks, supply lines stretched thin. His units sometimes advance so fast they lose contact with headquarters. Staff officers from other armies call Patton's operations reckless. Mias Patton argues speed paralyzes enemy decision-making. Move faster than the enemy processes information. Win before they understand they are fighting. March 1945. Strategic reality. Germany cannot win. Fuel reserves exhausted. Industries destroyed by Allied bombers around the clock. Wehrmacht cannot replace losses. The question is not whether Germany loses, but how long the war continues and how many additional casualties before surrender.
The orders are clear. We advance at dawn. Understood, sir. The men are ready. Good. No delays.
Time matters differently now. At Supreme Headquarters, frustration grows. German armies disintegrate across the front. Defensive lines collapse. Opportunities for mass encirclement exist, but seizing them requires speed. Montgomery sends another supply request. More ammunition before authorizing the next phase. Specific quantities: 25-pounder shells by the thousand, fuel by the 1,000 gallons. The requests are militarily sound. His forces cannot operate without supplies. From Eisenhower's perspective, every day spent accumulating stocks is a day Germans regroup, establish new positions, move reserves. Eisenhower faces an impossible command problem. Montgomery is not just a field commander. He is a British national hero whose prestige matters to morale and the Anglo-American alliance. Public criticism creates political problems. But privately, Eisenhower increasingly favors Patton's aggressive tempo. The opportunity to end the war quickly exists. But exploitation requires movement. Movement is what Montgomery's philosophy resists. March 13th, 1945. Patton's Third Army launches into the Saar-Palatinat, the region west of the Rhine between the Moselle and the river's banks. And German forces defend in strength, covering withdrawals across the Rhine. Traditional doctrine suggests fixing these forces frontally, while building overwhelming strength for deliberate assault. Patton ignores tradition. He orders the 12th Corps to advance through terrain Germans consider impassable for armor. The Palatinate is broken, hilly country with forests and small rivers favoring defense. German commanders position forces expecting attacks along major roads from the west, giving time for fighting withdrawals. These expectations rest on reasonable assumptions. Armor needs roads. Armor needs supply lines. Armor consolidates before pushing forward. Third Army's advance begins with movement, not artillery. The 5th Infantry, 76th Infantry, and 4th Armored Divisions push forward on multiple axes. When encountering German strongpoints, they bypass rather than reduce them. Resistance is pinned with minimum force while the advance continues. 20 miles in a day, 30, 40. German commanders receive reports of American armor in impossible locations. They assume exaggeration. By the time they understand accuracy, American forces operate deep in rear areas, cutting roads, seizing bridges, severing communications. The key is not superior firepower. The key is operational tempo that invalidates every German assumption. By March 20th, 1 week into the offensive, Third Army penetrates over 60 miles into German territory. German 1st and 7th Armies, 200,000 soldiers at month start, are now fragmented into isolated pockets. Roads needed for withdrawal are controlled by Americans. Bridges needed to cross the Rhine are captured or under artillery observation. Entire divisions find themselves surrounded, unable to retreat, receive supplies, or reinforcement. Faced with breaking out through American positions or surrendering. Some attempt breakout. These prove costly and largely unsuccessful. American forces position themselves on roads and crossings where German columns must go. Breakouts turn into one-sided engagements. Other units, recognizing futility, stop fighting and wait for capture. March 22nd, night. While Montgomery's 21st Army Group makes final preparations for Operation Plunder scheduled tomorrow evening, Patton orders the 12th Corps across the Rhine at Oppenheim, 10 miles south of Mainz. The crossing executes without artillery preparation. Assault boats rush forward from stocks maintained since fall. Then the 5th Infantry Division crosses silently in darkness. Germans on the eastern bank are surprised, offer minimal resistance. By dawn, March 23rd, a full division is across. Patton telephones Bradley. "Brad, don't tell anyone, but I'm across." 1 day before Montgomery's meticulously planned crossing, Patton is already on the eastern bank. March 23rd through 25th. The surrenders begin in small groups. A platoon with white flags, a company commander negotiating terms. Military police process them normally. then acceleration. By March 24th, no longer small groups, battalions, regiments, entire divisions. March 24th, the 6th SS Mountain Division surrenders as a complete formation. Over 15,000 soldiers with officers, equipment, unit organization intact. The division stops fighting, stacks weapons, waits for American custody. The logistical challenge of processing 100,000 prisoners is staggering. Each must be searched, identified, documented, weapons collected and secured. They need food, medical care, transport to camps. Third Army's military police are overwhelmed. Temporary holding areas established in fields and town squares. German prisoners organized by their own officers who maintain order until proper processing. Prisoner columns marching into captivity stretch for miles. American soldiers describe surreal quality. These are not defeated soldiers conventionally. Many well-equipped, physically healthy, surrendering not because beaten in combat, but because outmaneuvered and see no point continuing a lost war. Among prisoners are division commanders who led through France, Russia, North Africa. When interrogated, a common assessment emerges. Defeated not by American firepower, but by American speed. In their professional judgment, defeated by operational tempo they could not match. March the 25th, 1945. Supreme Headquarters, Reims. The report from Third Army arrives with supporting documentation. Total German prisoners captured in the Saar-Palatinat campaign, 98,000, with additional captures still being processed. Estimated final total, over 100,000. Eisenhower's staff verifies meticulously because the numbers are so extraordinary. The verification confirms it. Patton captured more prisoners in 2 weeks than some Allied armies captured in months. Eisenhower's immediate reaction, according to staff officers present, reflects professional satisfaction mixed with personal amazement. The professional satisfaction is clear. This victory significantly accelerates the war's end. 100,000 German soldiers removed from combat means 100,000 who will not defend the Rhine, who will not contest the advance into Germany's heartland, who will not inflict casualties on Allied forces. But the personal amazement reflects something deeper. Eisenhower has defended Patton against critics throughout the war. Even Eisenhower, who knows Patton's capabilities better than almost anyone, is surprised by this achievement's scale. Capturing 100,000 prisoners is not just effective leadership. It is operational brilliance of the highest order. The phrase that emerges is not public criticism. It is private acknowledgement of what just occurred. While Montgomery was counting bullets, Patton captured an army. The political dimension cannot be ignored. Montgomery conducts Operation Plunder in the northern sector. His forces make progress, capture prisoners, advance across the Rhine. But Montgomery's operations proceed methodically with careful preparation and abundant supplies. His prisoner totals are significant, but measured in thousands, not hundred thousands. The contrast is unavoidable and politically uncomfortable. British public opinion expects Montgomery to feature prominently in the war's final campaigns. British political leaders expect their forces to play major roles in Germany's defeat. But the numbers from the Palatinate suggest decisive operations happen in Patton's sector, not Montgomery's. Eisenhower faces delicate command calculations. He must acknowledge Patton's success without appearing to diminish Montgomery's contributions. He must balance American and British pride. He must maintain coalition unity and prevent inter-allied rivalry that could damage the war effort even at this late stage. His public statements about the Saar-Palatinate campaign are carefully calibrated. He praises Third Army's success while noting contributions of other Allied forces. He emphasizes that victory results from coordinated Allied effort, not any single commander's achievement. But privately, Eisenhower understands what the Palatinate campaign has proven. Patton's approach can achieve results methodical approaches cannot match when exploiting a collapsing enemy. The capture of over 100,000 German soldiers in the Saar-Palatinate becomes, in retrospect, one of the defining moments of the European war's final phase. The immediate strategic impact is measurable. Germany's ability to defend its territory depends on having soldiers to man defensive lines. Every soldier captured cannot defend the next river, the next city, the next hill. 100,000 prisoners removed from the German order of battle equals eliminating several divisions from defensive capability. Between January 29th and March 22nd, Third Army captured 140,000, 112 German soldiers and killed or wounded an additional 99,000. These figures represent the virtual elimination of the German 1st and 7th Armies as coherent fighting formations. The strategic effect shortens the war by weeks, possibly months. In a war where every week means thousands of additional casualties and continued destruction of German cities, shortening the timeline is strategically decisive. The psychological impact on German forces cannot be overstated. German soldiers and officers across the front learn what happened in the Palatinate. An entire army group surrounded and captured. Not destroyed through prolonged battle, but outmaneuvered and bypassed. If 100,000 soldiers can be captured so quickly, what hope does any German unit have of effective defense? The Saar-Palatinate campaign validates operational concepts that influence military thinking for generations. The campaign demonstrates that mobility and speed can substitute for overwhelming force. That aggressive exploitation can achieve results methodical operations cannot. That accepting tactical risk can produce strategic gain. For Eisenhower, the campaign resolves a command question complicating planning since the Allied breakout from Normandy. How much weight to give Montgomery's methodical approach versus Patton's aggressive tempo? The answer, crystallized in late March 1945, is that context determines which approach is effective. When facing organized German defenses with intact command structures, Montgomery's methodical preparation and overwhelming force produce results. When exploiting German collapse and disintegration, Patton's speed and aggression are decisive. In March 1945, Germany is collapsing. Eisenhower's subsequent decisions reflect this understanding. Third Army receives priority for fuel, ammunition, bridging equipment, authorization to continue aggressive operations without pause, and permission to exploit opportunities without waiting for detailed operational approvals. Montgomery's requests for additional preparation time are met with less patience. The operational reality has changed. The opportunity exists to end the war through aggressive pursuit. For Patton personally, the Saar-Palatinate campaign represents complete vindication. The Palatinate proves Eisenhower's judgment correct. Patton's methods produce results justifying every controversy, every difficult decision to keep him in command. History remembers the Saar-Palatinate campaign not as the war's largest battle or most dramatic moment, but as the operation that crystallized a fundamental truth about warfare. In the context of Germany's 1945 collapse, speed and aggression were more decisive than firepower and preparation. The campaign's legacy extends beyond tactical lessons. It demonstrates how operational tempo can become a weapon that paralyzes enemy decision-making. German units in the Palatinate were not destroyed through superior firepower. They were rendered irrelevant through movement they could not counter. When German commanders were asked after the war what defeated them, many pointed not to Allied resources or firepower, but to the speed of operations that gave them no time to react, no opportunity to establish defenses, no chance to execute fighting withdrawal that might have prolonged resistance. They were defeated by movement. The image of mile-long columns of German prisoners marching into captivity becomes symbolic of the war's end. Not the dramatic last stand, not the climactic battle, but the quiet capitulation of forces that had been outmaneuvered and saw no point in further resistance. The Saar-Palatinate validates Patton's command philosophy completely. While Montgomery prepared his next set-piece battle, while other commanders consolidated positions and waited for supplies, Patton captured entire German armies. The phrase "counting bullets" emerges as sardonic shorthand for the contrast between methodical preparation and decisive action. March 25, 1945. Supreme Headquarters, Reims. Eisenhower sets down the verified report from Third Army. 100,000 German soldiers captured in 2 weeks, the largest mass capture in the European theater's final phase. Patton did not destroy the German armies in the Palatinate through superior firepower, but he made them irrelevant through speed they could not match and operational tempo they could not counter. While Montgomery was accumulating supplies and preparing his meticulously planned Rhine crossing, Patton was already across the river, already deep into German territory, already capturing prisoners by the tens of thousands. 2 philosophies of warfare, 2 approaches to ending the conflict, one methodical, prepared, overwhelming in resources, the other aggressive, fast-moving, accepting risk for speed. In the context of March 1945, with German armies collapsing and the war's end in sight, speed proved decisive. The 100,000 prisoners are proof. Eisenhower's private comment to his staff captures the essence. While Montgomery was counting bullets, Patton captured an army. Not criticism, not judgment. Simple acknowledgement of operational reality. The war will continue for another 6 weeks before German surrender on May 8, 1945. But the Saar-Palatinate campaign defines how those final weeks unfold. Aggressive pursuit, maximum tempo. No pause to count ammunition or wait for perfect preparation. The philosophy that captured 100,000 prisoners in 2 weeks becomes the philosophy that ends the war.